Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah. This recording will be for the some of the daily questions that I've received. So we'll do one which is on a general topic like we did this morning, and then the second one will be on some of the questions that I've received. Um, I'll give a little answer on to share the question and share the answer with all of you, inshallah ta'ala. First question is, many contemporaries claim that al Isnawi's objections were never truly answered. And the response to this is that's not true. There are three layers of responses to al Isnawi's claims. There's a fourth one, but the fourth one is basically they simply did not answer because what he was arguing for made no sense. So we're not even going to address that because what he said made no sense. Zarkashi even has a funny statement that he made on some of those where he says, حال النووي هنا أن يقول سألته عن أبيه فقال خالي شعيب. النووي should his position in some of these objections is as if a man were to ask another man, Nawawi asking Isnawi, what's your father's name? So he said, my uncle's name is Shu'aib, meaning that Al-Isnawi's argument is basically pointless. I don't want to say nonsense out of respect to Isnawi, he still was a great Imam. And this is one of the benefits of having a fiqh school, is that no scholar is above the law per se, where you can have the ability to question, but question with evidence and proof and real discussions, not just because you want to argue. Like I remember one of the things that Isnawi said that I don't even know why he did it. He says, or he argues that in Nawawi and the Rafi'i they keep on using the term thiyuba, and Arabs don't say thiyuba, which is funny, since if we go to the works before Rafi' and Nawawi, any fiqh work from any school, you'll see the word thiyuba used over and over and over and over and over again. Not only that, even Suyuti didn't understand why Al-Isnawi would even comment on this, like it's on the verge of being just ridiculous. Now, as for the three folds or the three stages of responding to Isnawi's claims, the hardest of them, if you may, or the harshest of them, were already answered to by his contemporaries and students. So they actually responded, and whether they agreed with Isnawi or rejected, they responded, and the responses are indeed there. Contemporaries that are claiming this, maybe they found one where they just felt that there wasn't a good response, which sure, I can give them that, but to claim that they all weren't responded to, then they might not be aware of the fourth one that we just mentioned, that they deliberately ignored because it was pointless. The second one was the one handled by Ashab al-Shuruh. But a lot of times, and this is where a lot of students get confused, if you do not know how to read the shuruh, you're not going to find it. Ibn Hajar could respond to something that Isnawi said with one word. With one word. If you're not aware of what he's talking about, you'll never know what he's referring to. One word. Jamil. And in every other sentence, if you focus on what Ibn Hajar al-Haytami is saying in his Sharh al-Minhaj, you'll see his responses. That's the second stage. The third stage is Ashab al-Hawashi. Ashab al-Hawashi. They also responded. Now, whether they simply agreed with the shurrah while they were pointing out some of the rudud, or they actually went into it in depth and detail. And the last one to really tackle a lot of Isnawi's claims was Imam Muhammad ibn Sulaiman al-Kurdi. And he really focused on the um, the mudrak aspect of al-Isnawi's claims, where a lot of times al-Isnawi will claim something, but the mudrak itself for the adilla, he's completely off with it. So therefore, his whole i'tirad is, again, pointless. You have to understand something else that's very important when it comes to al-Isnawi's objections. Al-Isnawi came at a time where people were starting to, okay, we're just going to go ahead and rely on Al-Imam al-Rafi'i and Al-Imam al-Nawawi and their efforts. Alhamdulillah, they suffice. Al-Isnawi was basically, well, I have the same library that they had and same books that they had. As a matter of fact, I have books that they didn't have. So therefore, why should we have to rely on Nawawi and al-Rafi'i? Because those books, the Isnawi, they were dying out. They were not being preserved. Al-Isnawi himself didn't sit back and make extra copies of every book. He mentions books that he has in his library, and he didn't even make copies for us. So the argument might work for Isnawi, but it doesn't work for those that came after Isnawi. As-Subki, he had the same books, and he didn't make that argument because he knew that a lot of these books were scarce to begin with. You couldn't even get, and today a lot of those books no longer exist. We don't even have them in manuscript form. Jameel. So Al-Isnawi, he's coming at a time where something unfamiliar was taking place, and he felt that there was a need to address that. And that's what Al-Isnawi did. Jameel, to the best of his ability. He did pretty good, and he left beautiful gems. But we don't need to respond to everything that he said, because not everything that he said actually makes sense. I mean, he spent half a page on Thuyuba. Why do we even have to waste time on that? Jameel, it is a very odd i'tirad. But this is where another argument, another discussion comes into play, and that is, did Al-Isnawi push too hard, push too far? And the answer is yes. He was excessively picky in areas where he did not need to be. Al-Wali al-Iraqi, in his Tahrir al-Fatwa, he'll quote sometimes the things that Al-Isnawi said, and then he'll come after and says, there's no point. There's no point for this argument to begin with. And I always say to myself, why would Wali al-Iraqi spend 2-3 pages copying and pasting Al-Isnawi's i'tirad to come afterwards and say, there's no point. Why were we even doing this? And it only hit me that he's trying to point out that's don't get overly excited about these i'tiradat, because at the end of the day, a lot of them actually don't add up. So to come today and say, this is what the quote that was given to me, سبرنا كتب المتأخرين فلم نجد رد على كثير من اعتراضات الإسنوي. هذا عبث. That's just someone that has no اطلاع in our books. So therefore, he's not going to know where to find it. As for the other question, it was, what is the true aqidah of the Shafi'iyya in summary? The Shafi'iyya are Asha'ira. هذا هو المعتمد. And don't listen to anything anyone else says, because all of anything else really it's nonsense. There's no دليل على أي شيء آخر. وما ذكروه على أدلة أخرى يعني to fight against that, it's gibberish. There's an answer to all of it. And inshallah, maybe tomorrow we'll speak about some of the things that are attributed to some famous Shafi'iyya in regards to i'tiqad. Assalamu alaikum.